Hi everyone! I have a bit of a confession to make. The video that I'm about to film is not the video that I was planning to film this morning. I was going to do one about awkward celebrity encounters, including this. This is the ballet shoe of one of the Dance Moms stars. I have a very awkward story as to how I came to own it, what happened when I got it. So if you want to hear that story and some other funny, awkward times that I've met celebrities, let me know in the comment section that you'd be interested in that video, and I'll maybe film it some other day. But today we're going to have a little bit of a different story time. When I was little, I wanted to be an author, and this was one of my storybooks. It actually says on it, Kate's storybook. It's not too easy to see, but it does say that. And I've written some stories into here. They're quite funny, they're quite cringy, and I hope you enjoy them as much as I enjoy them. So we're going to read some of these. I think these stories are from around about the age of 9, just based on some of the things that I've said in them, things that I know I was interested around that time, and a certain movie plot that seems to be ripped off later on. So I'm going to give these a read. We're going to start with The Night the Toys Came to Life. Every New Year's Eve, toys come to life. They only wish that they could stay that way. Dog was brown and had long ears and a tail. Teddy was a teddy bear. Cat was a cat, of course. They all lived together in a toy box and had adventures together. On this New Year's Day, it was to be 2000, and all the toys were anxious to come to life. At midnight, they would change to real life. I can't believe I didn't... I've said about 5 times that they're going to come to life in the space of like 5 sentences. When it was midnight, the 3 best friends went downstairs. They had heard they were going on holiday to the seaside on January the 1st. Okay. They all decided that they wanted to come. I wouldn't want to go to the seaside on January 1st, just saying. Not knowing what a suitcase looked like, Cat climbed up the Christmas tree. Then with a crash, thud and bang, Cat fell down with the Christmas tree. The little boy's mum ran down to find the Christmas tree on the floor. Cat had ran away, not hurt, to catch up with Teddy and Dog. "Where have you been?" asked Dog. "You look like you've fallen from the sky." "Well," said Cat, "I got to the top of the Christmas tree, thinking it was a suitcase. Then I noticed it was a Christmas tree. I tried to get down, and it toppled over." "Oh well," said Teddy. "At least it's not the end of the world." I find that quite a funny thing to say because this is like going into the year 2000. And there was a lot of anxiety at the time that there was going to be a millennium bug and all technology was going to fail and things like that. So I like the saying, "at least it's not the end of the world." I don't think I connected that in my mind, but I find that really funny. Dog was imagining what a suitcase looked like. So Dog went upstairs, got the remote control car, and got in it and drove down the stairs. The little boy's daddy came down to see what was going on, but Dog got a very fast getaway. "Why are you in that?" asked Cat. "You look like you came down the stairs in that." "But it's a remote control suitcase," said Dog. "No, it isn't," said Cat. "It's a remote control car." "Oh well," said Teddy. "At least it's not the end of the world." Teddy, thinking he knew what a suitcase looked like, went to find a suitcase. So he went upstairs, got some string and a t-shirt, and flew downstairs. But on the way he dropped it and went shooting down. I haven't really described that too well, but I think Teddy was trying to make a parachute. But Dog got the remote control car and gave him a ride. "Sorry I was rude because you got the suitcase thing wrong," said Teddy. "Oh well," said Cat. "At least it's not the end of the world." And they all laughed. The next day, the little boy took them all to the seaside. The end. I think that story was heavily influenced by another story about toys coming to life at night and things. I think the only thing I'd changed was the fact that they could only do it on New Year's night. I also find it funny that toys would come to life on New Year's Eve because there's a massive plot hole in that. In there's a lot of places there'd be like New Year's Day parties and things like that. So I don't think that would have worked. But little author Kate wasn't really thinking of that. We're going to stick with the toy theme for the second story of the day. I haven't read the whole of this in a very long time, but I did flick through the first couple of pages and it's reminding me very much of a very popular Pixar film series. So I'm going to let you decide for yourself. This one is called Toy World. There are different kinds of toys. You probably already know that. The toys you're going to hear about today are owned by a little girl called Shelley. Shelley was 8 years old and always got told she had to get rid of some toys. This is me, totally. But Shelley didn't want to. She loved her toys. Her toys loved Shelley too. Her favourite toy was Polly Pigtails. Polly had some friends too. A dog called Scamper. Scamper and Polly were best friends. But one day, Shelley came into her room looking sad. "Oh, Polly," she said sadly, "Mum says I have to give some of you away," and started to cry. "Shelley," said her mum, "tea time." So Shelley went out the room. "What are we going to do?" said Polly. "Well," said Scamper, "we could tell Cowboy Kid." Cowboy Kid was a toy that belonged to Michael, Shelley's brother. Cowboy Kid had a cowboy office. Is this sounding familiar to anybody? Like, here we go. We have a picture of Cowboy Kids. Does that not remind you of somebody? He's a sheriff as well, as you can see. So Scamper and Polly Pigtails went to Cowboy Kid. You see, she wasn't that kind of cowboy kid you think she is. Cowboy Kid had no other cowboy friends. She was just being friendly. Anyway, they'd got there now and they'd told her the story. Okay. "Yes," said Cowboy Kid. "I'm getting bored of my house." Soon Shelley was in her room again, with Michael shortly behind her. "Your Nellie's in here with Pamper," said Michael. "It's Polly and Scamper," she said. "Now give me them back." Soon it was bedtime, and she got her Polly Pigtails back, but Scamper got one ear pulled off, so Mum had to fix it. The next day, her mum put poor Scamper in a bring and buy sale. Is this sounding familiar to anybody? "Mummy," said Shelley later that day, "Scamper's gone." "Oh, don't worry," said Mum. "I bought you a toy cat," and showed a sock puppet. "Thanks," she said. Her mum went out of her room, and she heard Shelley crying. "Oh, you are such a baby, Shelley," said Shelley's mum. "It's just a stupid old toy." At this point, Polly got angry. In the next few days, they were moving to Australia. They had to find Scamper. This is a bit like Toy Story 1 now. Scamper now lived with a girl named Emma. Emma was the sort of girl who liked to be bossy. She always got spoiled rotten. They lived in a rich house with rich parents, but no brothers or sisters. Polly searched all night long, but not a trace in the house. So in the daytime, Polly went out to see if she could find Scamper. On the way, Polly saw Emma and Scamper. What luck! Soon Emma and her mum got out of the car to go shopping. Polly noticed Scamper, and Scamper had noticed Polly. Scamper wound down the window. "What are you doing here?" asked Scamper. "I'm here to save you," said Polly. "Good," said Scamper. "Now!" But before Scamper could say any more, Emma and her mum came back. "Quick," said Scamper. "Hide!" "Mummy," said Emma, "what's a doll doing in the back of the car?" "Honey," her mum said, "there's no doll." "Well, what's the one with a stupid t-shirt saying PP? "Look," said her mum, "there's no doll." Out of the car, Emma took the doll in her room with Scamper and put poor Polly into her bedroom. Now I've got a very, very detailed drawing of Emma's room here and all the toys. Wow, said Polly to a long-haired doll next to her. Look at your hair. Thank you, said the strange voice. Polly never noticed a little doll with little black hair. I'm going to grow it just like my mum. Eh? Hey, said another doll, the one Polly was trying to say something to. Leave my girl alone. Polly didn't know what to say, so she just backed away. Scamper, said Polly. Who's she? Oh, that's Anita, said Scamper. She thinks she's posh because of her hair and her 2 children. Okay, I don't know anybody who thinks they're posh because they have kids and long hair. Okay, so I'm going to skip ahead a bit because this story seems to be really strange. Like every page there seems to be something going on differently. So on this page we're still in the new girl's room. On this page I think she's having a birthday party. On this page we're talking about some more toys. And then let's get to... I'm going to read you the end of this story because it's especially weird. Luckily enough, it was just a young cheerleader. Peace be with you every day, anywhere, in any way, she sung. Yuck, said the witch. As King Toy, I order you to stop doing that. Then Emma's mum burst in, looking for something for Emma to wear. She saw the new toys and thought Emma got them for her birthday. After Emma's mum went, they asked, What do you want? We want to go home. She sent them back to their house. The end. So the moral of that story, I guess, is if the plotline's getting too weird, too wild, and you just want to finish the story, then you should go and find a wizard or a witch who can just zap you back home and everything will go back to normal. I think I was getting bored of that story. I maybe thought it was way too much like Toy Story. I have no idea. But that was quite a weird ending. And I'd like to say that it's quite a weird ending for my stories, but no, my endings are always really weird. So, as you can probably tell, I'm not a published author yet. I have written many stories and nobody wants to publish them. That's really weird to me. They're clearly masterpieces. So, anyways, I hope you enjoyed that story and, of course, the other one about toys. And if you want to share with me down below the sort of things that you wrote stories about when you were little and your main influences in writing, I'd love to hear about them. Thanks very much, everybody, and cheerio. But the video that I'm going to film today is a story time. And it's not a story time in the traditional, this is a thing that's happened to me. When I was a video. Hi everyone!